Peace be with you. My name is Ali Muhammad Kartar Puri, also known as Allan Keislar, and we are continuing to seek guidance from Holy Scriptures, from the Holy Quran, the Holy Bible, the Dhammapada, and the Bhagavad Gita. I've done this previously, just letting verses at random come to us. Yesterday I did a chat like this in Urdu, and I decided to use those same 4 verses from those 4 scriptures that I had randomly opened to yesterday while I was doing the Urdu chat, because these seemed like very significant verses and they fit together very well. So the first one is from the Holy Quran, Surah 9, which is repentance, verse 60. So there are, of course, different translations. This is just a translation. The one I'm reading is from Amir Ali, Abdullah Yusuf Ali, Abdullah Yusuf Ali's translation. And he translates this verse of the Quran like this: alms are for the poor and the needy, and those employed to administer the funds. Have been recently reconciled to truth for those in bondage and in debt, in the cause of Allah, and for the wayfarer. Thus is it ordained by Allah, and Allah is full of knowledge and wisdom. So this is actually an extremely important verse of the Quran for many reasons. Legally, it's important to establish the uses that should be put of the zakat, or the sadaqah, the alms. The sadaqah is the alms that are voluntary, and zakat is the alms that's required. So I wanted to talk a little about zakat and income tax, because, of course, in the West, income tax is widespread. And in Pakistan, this debate has been going on about income tax. The government is having trouble collecting income tax because there's a lot of, according to the government's position, tax evasion. But I have said before, I remember some months ago, I can't recall if somebody had asked me a question about it or how the topic came up, but I spoke about zakat, and I said that this income tax system should be abolished. No income tax system. There should be a zakat system, because zakat is not only an income tax, it's a wealth tax. It's not only a tax, but it is actually a spiritual opportunity. It is an act of worship of God, and it is a Muslim obligation also. So those who give the zakat, they give out of their hearts, out of understanding that this is an obligation, but it's a benefit for the giver also. So it's not the sort of thing that people will try to evade if they have any understanding of the benefits of giving zakat. So this is what I've said in the past, and I'm going to repeat. Imran Khan should understand this, and the other leaders, the economic advisors of the Prime Minister, and the scholars who are trying to figure out how to increase the income that the government is getting. They should just implement zakat. And perhaps the significant point here is that alms are for the poor and the needy. And there's so many, I read a few commentaries about this. So there are 3 types of poverty. 1, when people are in need; 2, when they are impoverished; and 3, when they're indigent. So one of the commentators explains that it's beautiful to understand these points. When people are needy, they still are trying to get some benefit from this world. They beg for money here. They want to get money somehow or the other from this worldly realm in order to relieve themselves of their poverty, or their need rather. And the second type of people that are being mentioned here, the poor, are those who are impoverished or poor, and they have given up any endeavor to try to get satisfaction of their needs from this world, and they simply rely on the next world, and they look forward to the benefits that they will receive after death. Those are considered superior to the people who are trying to get money in this world to satisfy their needs. And finally, the indigent are those who are the most elevated, actually. They don't even think about the benefits they may get in heaven. They simply meditate on God as the supreme goal of life, as the provider of everything. They don't want anything for themselves. They simply want to serve God. So this is a very beautiful point in terms of the poor and the needy that one commentary gave about this. So I guess that's all I will say, because we're going to talk about all these 4 verses today. So I guess the other point I will make, such I made it yesterday, that one of the groups of people for whom alms are to be given is for those in bondage. So there are many types of bondage, not only slavery. Slavery, of course, is abolished in the world today. It's considered illegal in most places, at least, but actually slavery is still being practiced under other systems. People become impoverished, and then they become indebted, and then they become beholden to their landlords or to the people who have lent them the money, and they practically become like slaves. And of course, there's a lot of slavery that happens with human trafficking. It happens in different ways. People may hear about a job in another country, and so they go, and when they go to that country, they may get put in a situation that they can't escape from, and they actually are enslaved. They actually are, this has happened, and it happens a lot in the world today. And there are different types of slavery. There's also sexual slavery. Women especially, and also children, sad to say, are stolen, literally abducted, and they are put in situations where they cannot escape. They cannot reach any authorities to relieve them of their bondage. And this is very, very widespread in the world today. And it's very, very horrible what's going on. So this type of slavery or bondage is present in the world today. And the government must use some of the Zakāh funds to relieve this sort of bondage. Okay, that's enough for that verse. Now we will turn to the Holy Bible. The verse that I just opened to randomly yesterday was the book of Nehemiah, Nehemiah chapter 9, verses 9 and 10. And thou didst see the affliction of our fathers in Egypt, and hear their cry at the Red Sea, and didst perform signs and wonders against Pharaoh and all his servants, and all the people of his land. For thou knewest that they acted insolently against our fathers, and thou didst get thee a name, as it is to this day. So, of course, this is recalling that critical event when the Jews had been enslaved in Egypt, and then Moses appeared to relieve them of their slavery on God's order, and Pharaoh, of course, the leader and his court, his people, they refused to let the Jews go, even though Moses requested it on God's command, and then all sorts of miracles and signs and wonders were performed by God against Pharaoh and the Egyptians. All sorts of horrible things happened to them, as Moses threatened would happen if they didn't let the Jews go. There were all sorts of plagues, and locusts covering, and the water turning to blood, and all sorts of horrible things. And finally, the warning was that if you don't let the people of God go, the Israelites leave from Egypt, then the firstborn son of every household will die. And of course, God also, through Moses, told the Israelites to make a sacrifice and put the sign, a blood sign, over the doorposts of their homes, and then this curse would pass over their home. So all the Jews did that, and of course the Egyptians did not, and the firstborn son of every household died that night. So the next morning, then Pharaoh let the Jews go, and they came to, of course, then afterwards, again, after he regretted, after making so many promises and then breaking those promises, Pharaoh again broke that promise to let the Jews go, and he sent his armies after the Jews, and they fled, and they reached the Red Sea, and they could not cross the water with the enemy, Pharaoh's armies behind them, and miraculously the waters of the Red Sea opened, and the Jews were able to walk across dry land. And when Pharaoh's army came behind them, the waters covered them up, and all the chariots and all the armies of Pharaoh were drowned. So this was the miracle that really is being recalled here. And this is what is the founding. This is also freedom from slavery, that God is freeing us also from slavery. Even today, very important development quite a few times on this same line is the Nation of Islam in the United States. That is, Master Fard Muhammad appeared in about 1931, 32, I don't remember right now the exact time. This great divine personality appeared, and he met Elijah Muhammad, and he told him that the black people, the Afro-American people of the United States particularly, had been chosen by God. And just as the Israelites were chosen and given freedom, so of course, they had been slaves in the United States. The African American people were enslaved, but that slavery was abolished. But still, 70 years later or so, they were still in an enslaved-like condition. And so Master Fard Muhammad told Elijah Muhammad that he should lead a movement which is called the Nation of Islam to free the Afro-American people, the black people in the United States particularly, but all over the world, I guess, from this enslavement, this bondage. And as I pointed out, as I have previously pointed out, the Nation of Islam, I have been told, will succeed in establishing in Alabama, which means in the Persian language, Allah-Bama, God with us, in this holy place of Alabama, the Nation of Islam will be established, and especially the Afro-American people, but actually anyone who's black, in the sense of being rooted in the earth. The soil in Alabama is dark. It's black. It's famous, especially in central Alabama. I lived there in Montgomery a few years when I was in college, and it's a beautiful place. The people are also especially the black people, are very pure-hearted, and they will reestablish the Nation of Islam in Alabama, which will be the same, I've been told, as Pakistan, the land of the pure. In Pakistan, in South Asia, will also be established the land of the pure in Alabama. So as Moses led the Israelites out of bondage in Egypt, from Egypt, similarly Muhammad and the Nation of Islam will lead the enslaved, the black people of America out of bondage into a glorious future of pure Islam, Pak Islam, which means love. It means justice. It means truth. And it means service. And it means so many things wonderful. The future of Pak Islam, pure Islam, is going to be the establishment of these wonderful qualities of love and justice and truthfulness and service service of each other, service of humanity, service of all creation, and especially service of God. So that is the message that we are getting from the Bible today. God is relieving those who are enslaved in bondage and brought them out to the promised land. So we're seeing this happening in the world, not only in Alabama, but also in Pakistan, God willing. So next, Dhammapada. The Dhammapada, we had opened yesterday to chapter 3, verse 10. And it reads, "Whatever harm a foe may do to a foe, or a hater to a hater, an ill-directed mind can do one far greater harm." So this is another extremely important. Of course, everything in the Dhammapada is important, but this verse struck me as extremely important, because this is the foundation of our success in life, is to control the mind. If we can't control the mind, it means we can't fix the mind on God. If we can't fix our minds on truth, if we can't fix our minds on love, if we can't fix our minds on justice, if we can't fix our minds on service, and we just allow the mind to wander here and there, ill-directed mind, it will be catastrophe for ourselves and for anyone around us. So it'll be worse than having an enemy attacking us. Our own mind is so dangerous. So let me just read one commentary, a footnote I should say. An ill-directed mind, in this edition of the Dhammapada that I'm using, there is this footnote, that an ill-directed mind means the mind directed towards the 10 kinds of evil, namely 1, killing, 2, stealing, 3, sexual misconduct, 4, lying, 5, slandering, 6, harsh speech, 7, vain talk, 8, covetousness, 9, ill will, and 10, false belief. So we must carefully avoid these 10 kinds of evil, not let our mind rest on those and think about those things. Rather, we should always, I'm going to go ahead and read the next verse too. The next verse, 11 of chapter 3 of the Dhammapada, is, "What neither mother nor father nor any other relative can do, a well-directed mind does, and thereby elevates one." So the mind that is not well-directed, the ill-directed mind, can do far greater harm than any enemy, and does more for one, elevates one, more than what any other relative, like mother or father or any other relative, can do for us. So, of course, mother and father love their children and do whatever they can to help them. Similarly, our mind, when well-directed, will do everything for us, even more than our mother and father can do. And I wanted to read this because the commentary on this verse explains what is the well-directed mind about. So the mind directed towards the 10 kinds of meritorious deeds, namely 1, generosity. We're reading about the Zakāh or the Sadaqah in the Quran, giving charity, generosity. So that's the first list. And the first in this list of the things the mind should be directed to is generosity, is giving to those in need, or giving charity, being generous. 2 is morality. 3, meditation. I've often spoken about the more importance of meditation. 4, reverence. 5, service. 6, transference of merit. 7, rejoicing in others' merit. 8, hearing the doctrine. 9, expounding the doctrine. And 10, straightening one's right views. So this is what we're doing now too. We're hearing the doctrine and expounding the doctrine, which automatically will straighten out our views. So this is a very important instruction. Let us focus our minds on generosity and morality, meditation. Let us meditate. Be reverent. I was just, was it just yesterday? I'm trying to remember right now. I was talking about blasphemy. Yes, somebody had asked a question in the chat yesterday about blasphemy and the blasphemy laws in Pakistan. And I explained that in the Western countries we've lost any sense of holiness, any sense of sacredness. So in this, of these 10 things the mind should be directed to, one is reverence, which means regard for the sacred, regard for holiness. And so we should avoid anything blasphemous. It's very, very serious. It's actually a crime to blaspheme, to treat something which is holy, something which is sacred, and to disregard it and to criticize. That's rightly, that is a crime. Of course, I also said yesterday that often that blasphemy law is misused, and people who simply want to get back at somebody or even want to get property from somebody, they accuse them of blasphemy, and then that person is in trouble and they can acquire their property. So that is a very horrible misuse. And the correction for that is that, and this is there actually in the blasphemy provisions, anyone who falsely makes a charge of blasphemy should also be severely punished. Actually, that punishment, as I recall, is also death. So one should not take this blasphemy law and to try to take advantage of it, because that should be enforced, that those who are falsely creating blasphemy charges, they should be severely punished. So we must be reverent. We must respect those persons and those divinities, God Himself, the Holy Quran or Holy Bible or Holy Dhammapada or Holy Bhagavad Gita. We should not criticize these books. They may have some mistakes in them, but they are messages from God. So we should revere them. So reverence and respect for the divine and for holy beings, especially the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, is essential. And it must be preserved and protected. And as I said yesterday, the Western people do not understand how much Muslims love the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. And it's a great offense to criticize him, especially when it's done ignorantly, and especially when it's done intentionally to create a negative response. That's actually one of the main reasons why we see, like in Denmark and Holland and other Scandinavian countries, seem to be expert in harboring such people who intentionally create blasphemy of the Holy Prophet just to try to get Muslims to respond with violence. Then they can say, oh, see how these Muslims are so violent. So this is a horrible crime, blasphemy. It's the antithesis of reverence, which is one of the things the Buddha taught. We must keep our minds directed towards reverence. Okay, and service is the next one. Of course, service is one of the most essential parts of Pak Islam. As I've been told, we should stress love, justice, truth, and service, these four things. So here also service is mentioned as one of the things our minds must be fixed on, serving others and also serving God. 6, transference of merit. 7, rejoicing in others' merit. 8, hearing the doctrine. 9, expounding the doctrine. And 10, straightening one's right views. So these are the things we should always be meditating on, how to correct our misapprehensions or misunderstandings, and how to hear, learn, and share with others the doctrine. The doctrine means the Dhamma, the teachings. The teachings of God and the Holy Prophets are what we should meditate upon and hear and share with others, expound. All right, so this was a very wonderful verse, or 2 verses now. The Buddha has taught us how the mind can be our greatest enemy when it's not controlled, when it's not well directed, but it can be our greatest friend, greater friend than mother or father or any relative. Our mind will become when we direct it well. And then, finally, the Bhagavad Gita verse that we randomly opened to yesterday was, interestingly enough, also about controlling the mind. And this is Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, verse 19. As a lamp in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist, whose mind is controlled, remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendent self. So this is exactly what the Buddha was also instructing. The mind must be controlled. The mind must be fixed. The mind must be directed toward these holy things, towards reverence and towards the scriptures and towards service. So I'm just going to read the comment on this verse also. A truly Krishna-conscious person, always absorbed in transcendence, in constant, undisturbed meditation on his worshipable Lord, is as steady as a lamp in a windless place. So we must always keep our minds fixed upon God. We must always keep our minds fixed upon the doctrine, upon the teachings of God. And that will make our minds well-directed and steady as a lamp in a windless place. So we must practice this. We should be always practicing to remove our minds from the bad things that the Buddha warned us against. I'm just going to read those again because they're so important. Killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, slandering, harsh speech, vain talk, covetousness, ill will, and false belief. So we must keep our mind away from these things. And how do we do that? By keeping our mind always fixed on the good things, especially keeping our mind fixed on God, by chanting the name of God, by studying the teachings of God, by serving God and the servants of God. That will make our mind our best friend. That will make our mind controlled, fixed like a lamp in a windless place, does not waver. So we must train our minds to become fixed totally in God, the service of God, and the service of God's creation. All right, so that is our message for today from the Holy Scriptures. I'm going to see if we have any comments or questions that I can try to answer. Sajid Ali, hello sir, please say my naam. This is exactly opposite of what we're being instructed to do. This is selfishness, covetousness, my name. No, sorry Sajid Ali, that's not a very good request. You're going backwards. You should ask to say the name of Allah, not my name. Okay, Nader Baloch, how are you sir? I am okay. I've had a little pain in my lower back. Actually, I've been to the doctor and I'm doing some exercises and trying to take it easy. I was working in the garden a little too vigorously, and I kind of put my back out of place or stretched a muscle too much, and but I'm recovering. Usman Khatar says, "How are you, sir?" So I'm okay. Sajid Ali is doing again. Hello, sir, please say Sajid. I'm happy to say Sajid because Sajid is the name of God, but we don't want people to think about us. We want people to forget about us and think about God. Kashif Khaira. Hello, sir, how are you? Everyone's asking how I am, so I am very happy. I'm extremely happy seeing Kartarpur and what is happening in Kartarpur, how the real pure Pakistan has been established. Pak Khalistan has been established. Khalis Pakistan, the pure Pakistan, pure Khalistan has been established in Kartarpur. So I'm very, very happy, even though I have a slight pain in my back right now. So Kashif Khaira says, I love to see you in Saudi Arabia, Daman. Inshallah, I would love to go to Saudi Arabia. I'd love to go to Mecca and Medina. Inshallah, I will be able to sometime soon. I tried to, was it 2 years? 2 years ago in 2017. I actually applied, began the process, but it didn't fit in with the schedule that they had set up in Saudi Arabia. They have certain months, and it was too late to make an application at the time I was able to travel. So, but I hope I can visit, definitely. Hijaz Mogul says, what would you like to say about General Musharraf death penalty topic? So, I think that the most important, whatever we think about General Musharraf, I always thought quite highly of him, actually. It was horrible what was done to him, which I don't even want to mention his name, but the former prime minister tried to embarrass General Musharraf and refused to allow his plane to land in Karachi. He tried to get him to divert it to India, I think, just to cause him embarrassment. But fortunately, General Musharraf had enough authority that he was able to get his plane landed in Karachi, even against the orders of the prime minister. So it was really horrible what the prime minister did. And so General Musharraf's response to that was quite understandable. And he did a lot of good for Pakistan. Of course, he may have made some mistakes. He did some things which he was thinking may be good for Pakistan, but maybe it was very bad. Some things that were constitutionally questionable, we could say. But the most important point of all is that the enemies of Pakistan, their main target is the Pak army. The Pakistani military is what has protected Pakistan. I've talked about this in the past and even displayed on my Facebook page, as I recall, a map which some enemies of Pakistan had created, in which had been a separate country. Sindh was a separate country. Northwest was a separate country. And Pakistan was limited to West Punjab. This was the plan of the enemies of Pakistan. And it failed only because of the Pakistani military. When terrorists had attacked Pakistan, even taken over Swat, these were enemies of Pakistan, enemies of Islam, pretending to be students of Islam, but actually they were just enemies of Islam in Pakistan. And with great difficulty and at great sacrifice, the Pakistani military managed to defeat those enemies of Pakistan who were part of this plan to divide up Pakistan and to finish off the country, really. So Sayyid Zaid Hamid Sahib was instrumental in helping the military understand what was really going on and inspiring them to undertake this. It was really a war. It was a civil war against not only Swat, but in many of the other tribal territories. The enemies of Pakistan had actually captured territory and were controlling territory of Pakistan. So the Pakistani military at great sacrifice, both tremendous financial cost and also sacrifice of human lives in this war, really, this struggle against the enemies of Pakistan in the guise of Muslim terrorists, anti-Muslim, anti-Pakistani terrorists, really stooges of the enemies of Pakistan. So the Pakistan military has saved Pakistan. That everyone should understand. And the enemies of Pakistan are doing everything they can, even now, to weaken the morale of the army and the military in Pakistan, and to turn the people of Pakistan against the military. So it seems to me that this sentence of death of General Musharraf, and especially the wording that was used in that order, that the government must seek out General Musharraf and find him. If they can't find, if he's already dead when they find him, then they must bring his body to Islamabad and hang it for 3 days. This is not even civilized, what to speak of Islamic. This is a sign for me that these are the enemies of Pakistan, the enemies of Islam, who are behind this activity. Anyway, that's my humble opinion. I don't think General Musharraf is perfect or innocent of everything by any means. He certainly made mistakes, but I don't think he deserves the death penalty. There are other people who have ruled Pakistan who I think do deserve the death penalty for having funneled so many millions and billions and probably trillions even, but certainly many billions of dollars of the Pakistani people's money, really, the wealth of Pakistan, they have siphoned off for their secret bank accounts in Switzerland or for their relatives in England or here and there. That sort of activity deserves the death penalty, not what General Musharraf did. His motive, I believe, was he is a real Pakistani patriot. And He does make mistakes, as we all do, but certainly not deserving of the death penalty. That's my opinion. Somebody else wants, they don't really care about General Musharraf, whether he's killed or not, but they want to discourage the Pakistani military. They want to turn the people of Pakistan against the army, because the army, the military, is what is protecting Pakistan. Pakistan has very, very powerful enemies, and it's not easy. Not only one country or this or that, but an entire cabal, an entire array of extremely powerful international banksters and people who don't like the fact that Pakistan is becoming independent of their control. Under Imran Khan, a wonderful prime minister, and his good wife, who is helping him with spiritual insight, they are leading Pakistan to become the true land of the pure. And with the help of the military and the support of the military, we see what has happened now in Kartarpur. That real Pakistan, the true Pakistan, which is identical with the true Khalistan, has been established in Kartarpur. And what do we see there? Go there yourself. I'm requesting everyone, I'm going there myself. That's where I want to live. I want for the rest of my life, actually, because I've been given the name Ali Muhammad Kartarpuri. So I am a Kartarpuri. I believe in Kartarpur as the real heart, not only of Pakistan and Khalistan, but the heart of the pure Islam that will encompass the entire world, I believe. Pure Islam means love, truth, justice, service. That we can see right now in Kartarpur. Go there. In fact, some of my Facebook friends who have been there have said here in my live chats that I went to Kartarpur and it was so beautiful. Not only Sikhs, even Hindus from India are coming to Kartarpur in such a spirit of love and service. And of course, this is one wonderful feature of the Sikhs, that they always have had this tradition of feeding anyone. You can go to any Gurdwara. I went to a Gurdwara in London with a Pakistani friend. We went there and had a delicious meal. Anyone can go. So you can go to Kartarpur and get a very good, healthy meal free, and all accommodations, everything. And we will be provided, this is what I've been told, a place to help establish world peace. So that's what I want to do. I want to go to Kartarpur and help establish world peace, which has already been established there. The love, Guru Nanak, Baba Nanak Sahib's vision of universal love has actually now been established in Kartarpur. So that is what I want to participate in, and I'm requesting the Pakistani military to be very, very attentive to protect Kartarpur from these enemies of Pakistan who are trying to weaken and really destroy Pakistan. They don't want purity. They don't want the land of the pure to be successful. They are the ones who have their misdirected minds to selfishness, covetousness, and all horrible things, and they want to control the world. These satanic people, they have this dream of dominating the entire planet. They want to create one world order under their control, under satanic control. Whereas the land of the pure means one world under God. One nation under God, we say in the American Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, one nation under God. So what we are saying is one world under God. That's what Pakistan is for. And that is what the nation of Islam is for. And even that is what is going to happen in Jerusalem. There will be one world under God, not under Satan, as the Satanists are trying to do. So please don't believe the mass media. You will see the mass media is hailing this great decision of General Musharraf's death penalty as the judiciary is standing up to the military. It's not the judiciary, it's the enemies of Pakistan behind the judiciary who are prompting them to do something so anti-military. It was not, General Musharraf's intention was never to destroy the constitution of Pakistan. His intention was to protect and preserve Pakistan. Again, he certainly made mistakes. We all make mistakes, but certainly he does not deserve the death penalty. He is a patriotic Pakistani, as opposed to those leaders who are not patriotic Pakistanis, but are selfish and selfishly taking the wealth of Pakistan for their own personal, private, family purposes. So General Musharraf's intention was always much more well-directed than those so-called leaders of Pakistan who would take 10% of every transaction for their own, directly into their pockets. Mr. 10% is actually what was happening, at least 10%. And others in their own ways were taking all the wealth of Pakistan for themselves. So General Musharraf didn't do that. Of course, all the politicians in Pakistan, not Imran Khan, but almost all the politicians in Pakistan are corrupt. I had a friend who was a member of parliament in Pakistan, and he told me frankly, he said in order to win the party nomination, he had to give so many bribes, huge bribes. We're talking about lakhs of rupees to different party leaders in order to win the nomination of the party. So he said, I have to get my money back. He became the member of parliament, he was a member of parliament, and he was engaging in corrupt activities in order to get the money back that he had to give in order to win the position. So practically all the politicians in Pakistan are corrupt. So General Musharraf was no worse than most of them, better than most of them. All right. Nadar Baloch, sir, please welcome to Pakistan. Yes, I am always thinking about Pakistan and Kartarpur especially. And I've always wanted to come and live in Pakistan, and I want to live in Kartarpur now. I pray that Allah will give me that blessing. It's been difficulties among my family. First, my children my children are all now out of university and are working. So now I'm a little more free to come and live in Pakistan. And my wife's health is now improving. She had a knee surgery replacement, and now she's recovering. So hopefully we will be able to come to Pakistan within a few months, inshallah. And thank you for welcoming me to Pakistan. Aisha Rafi says, Assalamu alaikum Ali Muhammad Kartarpuri. Thank you for giving us your precious time. May Allah bless you. Thank you for giving me your precious time and listening and making such good comments. Arslan Kiani Mahmood says, love the way you explain everything. Love your accent, both English and in Urdu. Love the way you smile, and your facial expressions are amazing. This smiling, this happiness is natural for anyone who simply remembers Allah. If you just remember that God is the controller of everything. I love Guru Nanak's instruction. Soche soch na hoye je sochi lakabar, chupe chup na hoye je lai raha liotar, pukiya puk na utri je banna puri apar, sahasya phalak hui te ek na chale na, kyung sachiya hoye, kyung gude te pal, hukum rezai chalna, nanak likya na. How can we become free of all of the entanglement and confusion and lack of knowledge in this world? Simply surrender to the order of God. Hukum rezai chalna. Be happy. Allah is our best friend. He is controller of everything. So why shouldn't we be happy? We should be very happy. If we simply remember God, we will be very, very happy, because we just surrender. We know that the order of God is the best thing for us. So, and we know that God is all powerful. He can do whatever He wants. So therefore, we should all be very, very happy all the time. Not only Muslims, people of every religion should be happy if they just remember God and realize God is certainly our well-wisher, and God is our best friend, and God is all-powerful. If we have a very powerful friend, a very wealthy and powerful friend, who will protect us if we're in any trouble, we feel calm and relaxed and happy. That's just a material example. So how much more happy and relaxed and calm we should not be when we remember God is our best friend and protector. Babar Ahmed Khan says, General Pervez did many mistakes, and I'm not referring to NRO case. Yes, of course. I don't deny that. General Musharraf made many mistakes. That is, human beings make mistakes. In English, we have an expression, to err is human, to make mistakes is human. And General Pervez Musharraf undoubtedly did many mistakes, some very big mistakes too. But I don't think he was anywhere near as bad as some of the other leaders of Pakistan, who have not only made mistakes, but who have intentionally, selfishly gone against the best interests of Pakistan totally, intentionally, knowingly. That is the real treason. What General Musharraf has done is not treasonous. His intention was certainly not treasonous. He was wanting to protect. Yes, he made mistakes, he had misunderstandings, wrong ideas, but his intention, in my humble opinion, was generally pro-Pakistani, whereas these other leaders who really do deserve the death penalty, their intention has not been pro-Pakistani. Their intention has been selfishness. All right, that's enough. I've gone on for a long time. Thank you all very much. May God protect us all. Pakistan, Zindabad. Khalistan, Zindabad. Kartarpur, Zindabad.